He's tiny. He's smaller than Michael Chandler. You'll see what I do to Michael Chandler next Saturday night when I dismantle him, and it'll be a very similar game plan to beat Ilia. He's small, he walks forward, swinging shots. I'll kick him up and down the octagon, and I'll either knock him out or submit him. Like, that fight's there down the line. No, 100%. That fight's got to happen. That's a fight that you can have as a pay-per-view main event with no title on it.
I remember even, like, you were, like, beefing with, like, Paddy the Baddy.
And sanitizer, boy! You.
Don't even compare me to that. Boom. We are on different levels, and everyone can see that. He was very disrespectful to me, to my country, to all my people, and he just behaved like a idiot.
What excites me more is the fight with Paddy.
Really?
Yeah, that fight excites me even more. And if they could put that fight in Spain, in the Bernabeu Stadium.
Ooh.
I know that Dana doesn't like to put the events in the stadium, but that's the only stadium in the world that they can close the roof. That will be a massive one. In Spain.
In Spain.
Against that pimple.
Paddy Pimblett isn't holding back breaking down Ilia Topuria's weaknesses. Just days ahead of UFC 3017, this feud has been simmering for a while. But things really exploded during a tense press conference a few months ago. Sparks flew as both fighters traded verbal shots, with neither man backing down. The tension quickly escalated, and security had to step in to keep things from turning physical right then and there. What started as promotional hype turned into something much more personal, setting the stage for a bitter rivalry. It was clear from that moment, this wasn't just another matchup. This was war.
Do it then, you little fart.
Do you have another question?
Do it. Do it then, you little p***y. What? Do it. Do it. Come on, do something then. Do something, stand up. What'll you do? You'll do nothing. You'll do nothing, you little fart. Go and sit back down.
Tensions didn't fade with timing. In fact, they only escalated. At a later press event, the animosity between Paddy Pimblett and Ilia Topuria reignited with even more intensity. Surrounded by cameras, reporters, and UFC officials, the two continued to hurl insults, their disdain for each other written all over their faces. Clenched fists, piercing stares, and raised voices made it clear this wasn't just for show, it was deeply personal. Dana White himself struggled to defuse the situation and later admitted that this wasn't your typical fight promo. This rivalry was real. Once again, the confrontation dominated MMA headlines.
I saw him last time, he got a hand sanitizer bottle bounced off his pod.
I don't understand you or anything. Back in the flouty mouthy, cloudy, like what?
Hand sanitizer, boy!
You. What?
Hey!
You wanna
no one even knows you by your name, lad. You're known as hand sanitizer, boy. You little mongrel.
Eventually, the trash talk turned into something far more real. At a UFC event backstage, Paddy Pimblett and Ilia Topuria crossed paths and chaos followed. Words were exchanged. Objects were thrown and tensions exploded into a physical confrontation. Security rushed in to separate the two before things got out of hand. While no one was seriously injured, the message was clear. This rivalry wasn't for show. These fighters genuinely don't like each other, and they're willing to throw hands even outside the octagon. Footage of the scuffle went viral within hours, racking up millions of views and sparking calls from fans and fighters alike for the UFC to book the grudge match.
Tell us your side of the story. Why did that happen yesterday at the hotel?
So it didn't happen because he told me something yesterday. It comes from a long time ago, once in Twitter, and he posted like, now I understand why Russia destroyed Georgia, because you are dumps. And it makes my blood boil, you know. When I saw, I was like surprised. I didn't believe when I saw that tweet, because in 2008 I was living in Georgia when that war happened, and it was a very difficult time for me, for my family, for all my friends, for my country. You know, a lot of innocent people, kids were dying in that war, and see how someone is joking about that, it makes my blood boil.
Ilia Topuria wasn't backing down, not even close. In a fiery post-fight interview after one of his wins, he zeroed in on Paddy Pimblett with unwavering focus. Without holding back, Topuria questioned Paddy's credibility as a fighter and made it clear that a showdown between them wasn't just possible, it was inevitable. He accused Paddy of dodging real challenges and vowed to expose him in front of the world. These weren't offhand remarks. Topuria spoke with conviction, as if their paths were destined to collide. The intensity in his words left no room for doubt. This rivalry was far from over.
Happens in London when I fought the last time with Paddy. It happens this time. And I didn't have any distractions with that, you know. So the thing was, I was in press conference that Mushroom was talking, and I don't want to listen to him. So I prefer to talk. Me, you know. So I know that I'm gonna face that one day, and I'm gonna smash his face.
Maybe the first event ever in Spain?
Wow, that will be fucking amazing. Amazing.
Veteran UFC voice and former fighter Chael Sonnen added fuel to the fire on his podcast. The Sonnen app arguing that the most logical and exciting next step for Ilia Topuria after Charles Oliveira would be a clash with Paddy Pimblett. Sonnen pointed out that their contrasting fighting styles, clashing personalities, and loyal fan bases make it a perfect recipe for a blockbuster event. He emphasized how rare it is for a rivalry like this to develop so naturally, especially in modern MMA. In Chael's view, this matchup isn't just high-pitched smart business. It's the kind of fight that could headline a card, draw massive pay-per-view numbers, and help define the next era of UFC stars.
Paddy versus Ilia. Is that the fight to make? I mean, if Ilia gets through Charles, do you reserve Paddy for him? Do you have Paddy do anything in between? Do you make Paddy the backup fighter for the very night of Charles versus Topuria? It's an interesting question. I mean, they have thrown such a remarkable, and this is when we talk about the dominoes, guys. We talk about the dominoes, and when one piece falls and they all go down, it really is incredible. We're still reeling from some of the announcements that Dana made, and it wasn't just the fights that Dana put together. It's what do we do with some of the players of the pieces that Dana didn't do anything with?
Former UFC fighter and outspoken analyst Chael Sonnen stirred the pot on his podcast by suggesting that Ilia Topuria's next big move following a potential bout with Charles Oliveira should be a showdown with Paddy Pimblett. Sonnen highlighted how their opposing fight styles, clashing personalities, and massive fan support make it a prime candidate for a marquee matchup. He noted that rivalries like this, which build up organically, are rare in today's MMA landscape. According to Sonnen, this isn't just a fight fans want, it's the kind of matchup that makes business sense, could headline a major card, and help shape the UFC's next generation of superstars.
Ilia Topuria versus Paddy is one of the truest grudges that we have in our sport right now. Some of you might not have known about it, and the rest of you might have forgot about it. But that B-roll and footage exists every bit as much as Masvidal and Leon exist. Ilia and Paddy exist. But how do we get there? One thing that Paddy said about his career, he said, fight Gaethje and then I'll go deal with Charles. But he had a different idea if Ilia won. If Ilia wins and that's the big grudge match, move Gaethje out of the side, he's ready for the title right.
Expanding on his point, Chael Sonnen emphasized how rare it is these days to see a rivalry as authentic and intense as the one brewing between Paddy Pimblett and Ilia Topuria. He drew comparisons to legendary UFC feuds like Tito Ortiz versus Chuck Liddell and Khabib, Nurmagomedov versus Conor McGregor, conflicts that weren't manufactured, but built on real tension. Sonnen argued that Paddy, the bold, loud Liverpudlian, and Ilia, the fiery Georgian Spaniard, bring just the right mix of clashing personalities, fighting styles, and national pride. He urged the UFC to act fast, warning that in the fast-moving world of social media, public interest can fade quickly. If the moment isn't seized,
the first in a meaningful period of time and the only current rivalry that we have in this sport, so how do we get them together? Nothing trumps rivalry. You can have nationalistic, you can fight for pride of country, you can fight for world championships and undefeated records, but nothing trumps personal feud. Those fights are very hard to come by. If you're a promoter, you dream of catching a fight like that on your watch. It's just very hard to get to, and Paddy is in a position where he needs one more win. Just one. And Paddy's so damn good, it's very easy to believe that he's going to get that one.
And it didn't take long for Chael Sonnen's prediction to come true. In a bold interview, Paddy Pimblett didn't hold back, accusing Ilia Topuria of being protected by the UFC. According to Paddy, Topuria's unbeaten record was no accident, claiming the promotion had carefully matched him with safe opponents. To build hype, he argued that Ilia hadn't been truly tested and hadn't faced anyone operating at his level. This wasn't just more trash talk, it was a direct shot at Topuria's credibility. The MMA world took notice, and just like that, the rivalry was reignited, louder and more personal than ever.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest, apart from John Jones Aspinall, I think that's the biggest fight the UFC could make. Me versus Ilia, there's loads of history in it, there's bad blood, people love all that. You know, he has done a lot in the sport since then. I do still think he's been hand-fed opponents. I seen someone putting something up the other day, all his opponents on the bounce, know what I mean? Holloway just been fighting at 155, had to get back to 45 and had a war with Gagey. Volk had just been knocked out like 3 months earlier. Josh Emmett was like 37. Bryce, as much as I love Bryce, we know he's not a striker, know what I mean? He fought that Gracie, who's, know what I mean? Like, most of his fights coming up, you can compare them to my fights as people are my opponents. Every fight he got before the title, Michael Chandler beats every single one of them. I reckon Bobby Green beats every single one of them. And I don't think he beat Volk if Volk hadn't been knocked out 3 months previous. I think that's one of the reasons why he did move to lightweight, because he didn't want to have that rematch with Volk. As you know, Holloway, he's been fighting in the UFC since he's been 21. What is he now, like 33? There's a lot of damage. You know what I mean? Them two fights, with that second fight with Poirier, the third fight with Volk, like just some of the wars he's had.
Nice ring to it, innit? Topuria Pimblett for the top.
And I'll absolutely kick him everywhere.
It's got a nice ring to it.
During a laid-back podcast appearance with Tom Aspinall, Paddy Pimblett spoke with a mix of humor and confidence about his interest in eventually facing Ilia Topuria. The conversation turned to the state of the lightweight division, and Paddy didn't hesitate to bring up Ilia's name. He explained that their beef had gone beyond trash talk, and the only real way to settle it now was inside the octagon. Aspinall, ever the supportive friend, listened closely and even joked that he'd been training Paddy himself. Their friendship added a playful tone to the moment. But Paddy's message was unmistakable. He's serious about settling the score with Topuria.
Ilia wins and says he wants to fight me. The UFC will make that fight.
I think so.
Because they know it's a money fight. As Ben was saying, that's like one of them fights where they were well pressed to all that, like McGregor Aldo. I know I'd beat him. Funny because I got laughed at for it, but I know I'd beat him.
Yeah, but that's what separates you from the other guy.
Yeah.
From the other guys, isn't it?
I don't know I'd beat him, lad. We've already like talked about a game plan to beat him, lad. I don't know how to beat him. No one like goes for his weaknesses when he fights, lad. Everyone just tries to have a boxing match with him. I'm not gonna come out and have a boxing match with him. I'm gonna beat him with my all-round MMA game. And as I said, no, I'd beat him, lad. And I reckon I'd proper hurt him and just shut everyone up even more like I love.
Later, Paddy Pimblett reinforced his stance during another media appearance, but this time, he came prepared with a clear game plan. Breaking things down, he explained exactly how he believes he could beat Ilia Topuria. Paddy pointed to his superior cardio, mental toughness, and composure under pressure as key advantages. He talked about using smart movement and calculated pacing to frustrate Ilia, forcing mistakes from the usually aggressive striker. According to Paddy, Topuria's all-out style could backfire against someone who refuses to fold. Fans were surprised to see this more strategic, thoughtful side of Paddy, adding a whole new layer to a rivalry many had dismissed as just personal drama.
He's tiny. He's smaller than Michael Chandler. You'll see what I do to Michael Chandler next Saturday night when I dismantle him, and it'll be a very similar game plan to beat Ilia. He's small, he walks forward, swinging shots. I'll kick him up and down the octagon, and I'll either knock him out or submit him. Like that fight's there down the line. No, 100%. That fight's got to happen. That's a fight that you can have as a pay-per-view main event with no title on the line.
Ilia Topuria also opened up during a guest spot on the Joe Rogan Experience, where he talked about potential future matchups. Surprisingly, the fight that excites him the most isn't a title shot. It's a clash with Paddy Pimblett. Ilia explained that what draws him to that matchup isn't just the competition, but the drama, the hype, and the massive fan interest surrounding it. He made it clear that this isn't just another bout to him, it's personal. That raw honesty only fueled the belief among fans that this fight isn't a matter of if, but when. With tension running both ways, the anticipation just keeps growing.
What excites me more is the fight with Paddy.
Really?
Yeah, that fight excites me even more. And if they could put that fight in Spain, in the Bernabeu Stadium, I know that Dana doesn't like to put the events in the stadium, but that's the only stadium in the world that they can close the roof. That will be a massive one. Spain.
In Spain.
Against that pimple.
Joe Rogan, known for his sharp MMA analysis, praised Ilia Topuria's grappling skills during their conversation. He highlighted Ilia's ability to control his opponents on the ground, seamlessly transition between positions, and create openings for submissions. Rogan pointed out that Ilia's blend of wrestling and Brazilian jiu-jitsu gives him a technical edge over many in his division. He also noted that anyone hoping to challenge Topuria would need elite-level takedown defense and top-tier cardio. To survive, this breakdown helped listeners understand that this fight goes beyond trash talk. It's a high-level stylistic clash with real substance behind the rivalry.
People think when people see a guy who can strike like you do, they kind of forget about the ground game. You know, they forget that your ground game is very elite too, you know, which is really interesting because you tend to put people in categories of danger. But with you, it's all danger. Like you have a very well-balanced game, you know, which is unusual. Like Pereira, for instance, doesn't have a balanced game. You know, his game is he's going to connect and you're going to wake up. You know, that's all it is. His game is kickboxing. But your game is like, it's everything. It's all over the place, you know, like the Bryce Mitchell fight. It's everywhere. It's stand up, it's the ground, it's comprehensive. It's like Georges St. Pierre when he was in his prime. It was coming from all different angles. You never knew if he was going to take you down. You didn't know if he was going to strike with you. It was all, your mind was overwhelmed with possibilities, which is, in my opinion, what I like to watch. That's what I like the most.
On a separate podcast appearance, former champions Henry Cejudo and Kamaru Usman weighed in on the potential matchup between Paddy Pimblett and Ilia Topuria. Both agreed that this wasn't just a fight, it was a pay-per-view worthy clash packed with storylines and skill. Cejudo praised Paddy's strong connection with fans and his charisma outside the cage, while Usman pointed out Ilia's relentless pressure-heavy fighting style. They emphasized that this bout isn't just hype, it has real substance, with a natural rivalry that developed without the UFC manufacturing it. For all three, this wasn't a side attraction, it was the kind of fight that could headline a major event.
He mentioned Dustin, he mentioned Gaethje, he mentioned Armin, but the fight that would really make sense. Can I get a drum roll? Ilia Topuria. These guys have back in the day. The storyline is there, bro. They're both stars in the UFC. If I'm the UFC, I'm booking Justin Gaethje versus Islam, and then I think you do Ilia Topuria on that fight. Whoever comes out of top gets the next title shot.
You're absolutely right, Henry. If the UFC just like, hey, you know what? Let's make the biggest fight we can in that division, because Paddy the Baddy is up there as far as fame right now in that division. I like it, Henry.
So you prefer the Ilia fight?
I like the Ilia fight because if Justin Gaethje's fighting for the title, Dustin wants a retirement fight, Armin and Charles Oliveira are going to do that again. Hey, you hit the nail on the head. Guess what? Winner is ultra popular now and ready to challenge for that.
Tom Aspinall also offered his perspective, breaking things down with the eye of a seasoned competitor. Drawing from his own fight experience, he analyzed Ilia Topuria's style, noting his reliance on explosive bursts and wide looping punches. Aspinall highlighted a tendency Ilia has to go for takedowns when under pressure, something Paddy could exploit. His advice to Paddy was clear: keep your distance, stay composed, and look for the right moment to counter. This wasn't just casual advice, it was a veteran's game plan, showing that Paddy isn't taking this potential fight lightly. With Aspinall in his corner, it's clear Paddy is thinking several moves ahead.
Let's get Big Joe in, and we're going to talk about Ilia Topuria's style a little bit. So being a bit of a shorter guy, what he does really well, Ilia Topuria, is shorter arms. So with this fight, he's going to be looking to get inside. And the body hooks, the low kicks, and The shot in is what he's looking for because he's got like a low centre of gravity, especially. It says that Max Holloway's 5'11".
He's bigger than me, mate.
He's at least 6'1", from when I've seen him at least. He's a lot taller than 5'11". So with Ilia Topuria being the shorter guy, he'll be looking for the right hands over the top, the left hook to the body, and the shot and trying to hold him down.
For the latest fight updates, expert breakdowns, and all the behind-the-scenes heat. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay locked in. Now, let's get into it. Paddy Pimblett isn't holding back, exposing Ilia Topuria's weaknesses just days before their showdown at UFC 317.